Damn.
All right,
All
we
right, don't
got
give it up, Bradley.
Don't give it up, Bradley.
Dreamin'. Is that really the name we're going with?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, four kids lives on, I guess. Uh,
All hail 4 kids.
hey Bradley, how much One Piece did you read this week?
Yeah, I was very satisfied. Last week, I only did half a volume, which granted, I think we got some really good discussion out of it.
That was only half a volume. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
this week I did a little over 2 volumes.
Yo,
Yeah.
we're gonna be
I
here for
think,
3 hours, dog.
I think
I'll be-
chapter
I'll be-
count wise, I left off like chapter count. What? Okay, let me fuck. I'm so excited for One Piece, I can't talk. Chapter count wise, I cut off this week around the halfway point of Alabasta.
Awesome.
So we have some very fun stuff. I purposefully stopped right before I think the final battle was about to start.
We'll see. We'll see when we get there. But why don't we start from the beginning, Bradley? What are some of the thoughts you had while reading?
Man, from what I read this week, in general, like this is just the best combat I've seen in One Piece so far. It's just so cool in every way.
A lot of flashy attacks. It's really showing the enjoyment of One Piece fights at some of its best.
Yeah, and then I think there's a lot of moments this week where I think we talk a lot about like where characters are going, what they're doing, like why we think a character taking a certain action works well. This week, I liked a lot of the character stuff, but it was more subtle than a character doing this thing or a character interacting with this character.
I think it's safe to say that Luffy had some emotional mastermind trademark moments.
Hell yeah. A lot of the stuff I liked with the characters this week came down to like their word choices when talking, because I think their word choices say a lot about who they are, which we'll get to those as we go along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess we can jump into it.
Yeah.
If there's no other housekeeping before we start.
I don't believe we do.
Yeah. So we're starting this week at chapter 152.
152 or 162?
Oh my God, 162. Yeah, 162, where they are just about to start crossing the desert, headed for. I think their destination at this point was Yuba, because they thought that's where the rebel base was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's hot in the desert, guys.
That is a bold claim.
To kind of give a we're gonna go chronologically like we usually do, and I'm just kind of flipping through the pages as I go. We see them making their way across the desert. Obviously, they're running out of water, and I think the big events in this chapter are these birds that steal their equipment, and also some combat with a giant
Lizard
gator, or the Sandora dragon.
Mhm.
And so, man, I gotta talk about this chapter.
You gotta.
I think we get like a really interesting contrast in how Luffy treats two different kinds of animals in this chapter. And I think it says a lot about him, because we will regularly see Luffy take down giant monsters without any hesitation, and half the time it isn't even because they attacked him first. And we get an instance of this in this chapter where they totally slaughter the Sandora dragon, this giant alligator thing.
With a triple attack.
Yeah, and granted, it was actually after them, but the reason I find it interesting is because in the same chapter, we see Luffy like beg Chopper to save these quote unquote dead birds, even though their time and resources are in really short supply. And I think Luffy kind of treats animals the same way he treats people, where he feels a duty to help ones who can't help themselves, and he feels a lot less sympathy towards those he sees as predators compared to like others. Like both people and animals who would use their power to harass others, I think he just doesn't have a lot of patience for them.
It could also be that the lizard has more meat on its bones. But I like your theory too.
Yeah, I mean, yours is probably the real one.
But both are true.
Yeah. But I actually think there's even more text that kind of plays into this, because if it was a lesser animal or one that Luffy sympathized with more, instead of just slaughtering it right off the bat, he might have ran away or subdued it. And even Usopp points this out. When they destroy the Sandora dragon, he's astounded and he has tears in his eyes. He's like, could they just have scared it off? And I think Oda's not going to put something in a chapter for no reason. And I think having Luffy show how he treats these two different varieties of animals, I think it's intended and purposeful.
Yeah, that seems really intentional.
Well, it also goes back to, if you go back to Whiskey Peak, it's almost like a small flaw that Luffy has, is that if he sees people like weak or injured, his first reaction is to help them out. So if you go back to Whiskey Peak, he sees, I think it's the millions or the billions, they're all defeated by Zoro, and they were the residents of there. And Luffy immediately gets angry at Zoro and fights him. And then as soon as like the other Baroque Works members comes, he realizes like, oh, these are the bad guys, and immediately fights them back.
Yeah, you brought that up as well when we were talking about it back then.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, very.
But I just think it just shows more because it's just still consistent with Luffy's character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like it. The rest of this chapter isn't a whole lot of notable stuff. It's just kind of advancing
To
our
Yuba.
characters towards their destination. And then they come up on Yuba, which is being hit by a sandstorm.
Looks giant.
And I just realized that, holy shit, this sandstorm might not be a natural one.
Whoa, Bradley.
Knowing,
The government can't make sandstorms.
knowing what I do now, I'm kind of like, wow. We pretty much meet Toto right off the bat, which...
What a sweetheart.
God, I love this man. And he recognizes Vivi, and then we move into a God tier flashback arc. And
What else is
basically,
new?
This flashback is getting a look into why Vivi and her family are so beloved by the kingdom, or at least why they were,
Right.
and how Vivi became the great person she is.
God, Vivi was so cute in this flashback.
Oh, she was. When she was young, Koza, this village boy, came to insult the king, and he even ended up beating Vivi up. And King Cobra is not only kind and forgiving, but I think he also knows very carefully how to choose his words. Because when Koza asks the king why he doesn't just make the weather rain and save them, I think the king kind of tailored his response in a way that didn't belittle Koza or make him feel dumb. Like, he was kind of apologetic in how he said it. He's like, my commands only work on people. He phrased it in a way that makes it sound like it's the king's shortcoming rather than like, oh, you idiot.
Because the boy doesn't know any better. It's probably the best way to get a point across.
Like, Koza was already very combative with the king, and I think if he phrased it any other way, it would have sounded like he's contesting Koza, and it would have just made him hate the king more. So, like, and the reason I like pointing this out is because whenever you're reading any good work, you have to remember that every image or word is something that the creator intentionally put there. So whenever I read these things, I'm just gonna assume Oda did that on purpose because
safe bet.
He's a galaxy brain,
the biggest.
And then shortly after this, Koza fights and beats the kingdom's princess Vivi, and the king forgives him and lets him go. And he, in his explanation, he says, oh, it's no big deal. It's just a fight between kids. And this is totally true. But it's even so much more than that. I think King Cobra knows he's kind of playing the long game here. Not in a nefarious way, but a good way. Like, he knows that if a leader's going to be loved, the people have to see the leader as one of them. And in this moment, if he had, like, given Vivi special protection, or if he punished Koza, it just would have created a divide between his family and the people. They would be like, oh, those royals, they're not like us, you know, they have special treatment.
And it's also nice that he knows his daughter's mature enough to, like, not overreact in this situation. I'm kind of falling in love with Vivi all over again. I forgot this aspect of this flashback.
She's such a good character.
of teaching Vivi just she has to stand up for herself,
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah, and she has to be independent, and like if Vivi didn't learn these lessons, she probably never would have snuck into Baroque works and tried to figure out how to take down Crocodile and do all of that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just good, like kind of like reverse character building and seeing like, oh, here's how Vivi, like something that connects Vivi to the main plot line, but also builds more to her character of like how she became so strong and independent and like worthy of her
for sure.
place.
Yeah, like I think it's easy for flashbacks to kind of get out of hand from the main story.
Mm-hmm.
But at any given moment in a flashback in One Piece, you can understand why what we're seeing right now relates back to what's happening in the present. Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't feel like we're being interrupted.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
man, there's some flashbacks later that I can't wait for Bradley to get to.
mhm. That's my one like big thing about One Piece that I thought I would hate but end up loving is that Oda really knows how to throw in a flashback and make it feel seamlessly like go from the current time to the flashback and have it feel very like, oh, this enhances what I was reading beforehand. It doesn't like stop the plot. It continues. It gives us more information about what's happening and gives us more attachment to where we're going to.
Yeah.
Like we had never like I think even heard of
Koza.
Koza at this point or no or who like he was. And so like now we're like, oh, well this is a character that Vivi knows, so now we really are wanting to know what happened to him.
That's such an interesting and different way actually for Oda to do something. He never introduces the character after the flashback, as far as I know. And in this case, he
Koza?
did. And
Yeah.
Koza's an important character, so
Yeah.
I guess to kind of cap off the flashback, we kind of get like we talked about kind of the first half, which is the king's interaction with Toto and Koza. Then we kind of get to see the result of Cobra's godlike parenting. Vivi grows up, she loves her people and they love her. She just kind of comes and goes to the village as she pleases, and everyone will take care of her. Um, but then we see this isn't without consequences. Because she lives like her people and is just coming and going all the time without necessarily any professional protection. These people try to kidnap her, and we kind of see that her and her dad's way of ruling outweighs this danger or this worry because like immediately the people of the village come to protect her, and it isn't because they fear her royal family or they want a reward. They just genuinely care about her. And at the end of the flashback we bring it around full circle where at the beginning, even when the king was as kind as he possibly could be, Koza was still angry with him. And at the end of this flashback, not before we end the flashback, but still during the flashback, they're still good friends, and it's all because of how Vivi was raised. And Igaram, is it Igaram? How you
yeah,
pronounce it?
Igaram.
He and the king discuss whether it's possible that Vivi could be being raised as too kind, like whether this is good for the kingdom. And the king, like, he doesn't even think about it. He just shuts it down. He's like, no, this is what Alabasta needs. She's being raised right. And then it's interesting because we kind of establish that Vivi is the one who kind of changed Koza's attitude towards the royal family. And then immediately after this flashback ends, or pretty much immediately, we learn that Koza is like the head of the rebel forces and that he wants to overthrow the king. And I think having this so soon after the flashback reinforces that Vivi has to be the one to stop the rebellion.
Mhm.
Like,
It's such a good mic drop because it's 2 pages after the flashback. It's like Koza, leader of the rebels, which is just knowing what you know about this
Yeah.
conflict in the country. It's just such a
Yeah.
big jaw drop moment.
And also like it establishes that like like you said before, Vivi is like extremely important to and not only to like stop the rebellion, but to Koza itself himself. Like with her gone, he is like definitely like fallen off to the long. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's just forgotten everything that he's learned.
Yep, she is the
Uh,
key.
yeah. Nami 2.0 key.
so yeah, flashbacks in One Piece continue to be god tier.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just move from one good chapter to the next. We then get to go into the Baroque Works meeting, where I think this is the highest concentration of powerful people we've seen in the story at this point.
Uh, yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah, it is.
This is a
You could
lot
you
of
could
really strong
argue
people.
Shank's crew, but probably not at that time. I don't know.
Yeah, as soon as I said that sentence, I was like, oh, well, Shank's crew, but I don't actually know how strong they are.
I'd say you're right. This is the highest concentration of strength.
Yeah. Highest
Yeah.
concentration of people that we know are relevant directly to our plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's just really cool to see these people here, and of course they finally meet Crocodile, who is, man, this guy has some presence.
He
Like,
looks so fucking cool.
he really does. And he kind of gives them the details of.
Note that he just shows up too, or
Oh
does he?
yeah,
No, does he show up, or does he just flip the
Yeah,
chair?
no, he like appears in the chair basically.
Right. That's notable.
Which makes sense once you know like what his
Yes.
whole thing is.
Yep.
yeah, and he kind of gives them the details of their Operation Utopia, I think he called it. And they kind of have mixed reactions, but they're all going to go along with it.
I forgot none of them knew he was Crocodile except for Miss Sunday.
That's right.
That's super
There's
cool.
there's a huge amount of dramatic irony in this arc because we know Crocodile is the bad person, but the people of Alabasta don't know he's the bad person. We also know he is the leader of Baroque Works, but the Baroque Works people don't know that he's the leader of the Baroque Works up until this point.
That's super cool. I like it.
So he kind of gives them the details of the plan, and I'm like, holy shit, it's happening this soon. The pacing in Alabasta has been kind of perfect. This chapter ends off with Luffy saying, I quit, which will be relevant in the second half of the next chapter.
Oh, I really like what's coming next.
Yeah, we have a little bit of stuff before then. So Mr. 3 strolls into the meeting.
Okay.
And,
No, this is important. I have to tell you something about 4Kids.
Okay.
So in the 4Kids dub, they skipped over Little Garden,
Oh God. Why?
but they did get to Alabasta. So that means that Mr. 3 just shows up for the first time,
Jesus.
and he's like a big jokester. He cracks jokes the entire time. It's
Oh.
infuriating. It's the worst.
Love you, 4Kids.
No, you don't.
It'd be even worse, Willer, later in this series.
Oh yeah. Oh, it gets worse.
Like, Mr. 3 walking into this meeting is just the most tragic thing for him, but it's also hilarious
It's
because Croc ordered Mr. 3's elimination, and Mr. 3 suspected he was going to be eliminated, but he thought it was because Croc knew he had failed. I forgot that Croc didn't even know Mr. 3 failed. Like, he was just going to order him to be eliminated anyway.
Oh yeah.
So he just walked in and delivered the news for the first time that the Straw Hats got away, and he couldn't stop them.
That's fantastic.
Like I said, there's tons of dramatic irony in this arc. Like, it's just like, oh, no one knows what the hell's actually going on.
That's what you get for having a dumbass secret society of villains.
Of
So,
backstabbers and pirates.
Yeah, Mr. 3 kind of gets fucked. And then if to make matters worse, we kind of cap off this scene with Bon Clay being ordered to reproduce photographs of all the Straw Hats and Vivi so that the tons of Baroque Works agents in the kingdom can spot them.
Right, came back. We mentioned it last time. How he conveniently stole all their identities without them knowing, or so.
Yeah. And then we kind of get the first peek or hint at Crocodile's power, where he grabs Mr. 3 around the throat and just like dries out and mummifies and turns him into jerky,
Pretty much instantly.
and then feeds him to the crocodiles. And holy shit, it was a terrifying sight.
Indeed.
Feeds him to the crocodiles, and it looks like they are just like, yeah, we'll commence our operation in the morning. And they're all kind of gung-ho about it. And then we cut back to the Straw Hats, and we have Luffy versus Vivi.
The fight of the century.
Ding ding.
And I kind of want to hear you guys' impressions on like their argument and kind of the points they're making.
Emotional mastermind.
Yeah. This is the point for me where I realized like, oh, this is why Luffy's the captain, in my opinion. Like this is the one thing that like it really stuck out to me. This is why it can't be Zoro or Sanji or Nami. It's that Luffy is able to like think back. It's like here's the bigger picture and everything that needs to happen. And here's you're getting your emotions in the way, and here's what you need to actually do.
Yeah, it's not gonna go as not as neatly as you think, because he just got a real when he gets to Yuba and he meets Toto is his name. He gets
Yeah.
a real look at the state of the country, and he realizes this isn't gonna be as easy as Vivi thinks. He even calls her naive. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then he caps it off with saying, "You need to let us help you because it's not going to be how you think it's going to be, and you need to prepare yourself for that." That's what I remember from this encounter. Keep in mind, I haven't read or watched it in years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, like he's like a million people are itching to fight, and you expect everyone to live. Like it really shows that like this entire time, like we've had this Luffy that's been like very happy go lucky, and it's like oh pirate life, and like it doesn't kill anybody. But then Luffy is this is like the one point where Luffy like really matures up and is like, I understand what's happening here. You like I know people are at stake, and you can't just ignore the fact that people aren't going to die. That's going to happen regardless of what you try to do. So rather than try to just stop the impossible, you need to do what you need to do.
Now,
Really.
Bradley, give us your expert analysis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think the general crux of it is they kind of have a different idea of what the priority is here because Vivi's like, "Oh, we have to get to the rebels because I can stop them." And Luffy is like, "I mean, maybe we could get to the rebels in time." And it's like, "Maybe you could stop them, but you wouldn't stop them without there being bloodshed. Like there's just too many of them. There's too little time. It's going to happen. That's the nature of the country right now." He's like, if there's one target that we as a group can take out, it's Crocodile, and he's like kind of the inciter of this entire rebellion.
Yeah, I think Luffy realizes that no matter how the meeting with Vivi and Koza goes, that's unpredictable. But Crocodile is a legit cancer to this society.
Yeah.
And
Cancer's a good word
no
for
matter what, as soon as the fight ends, he's like, "All right, where's Crocodile?" Well, he knows that is their ticket out, no matter what.
Yeah.
And he knows that like even if they go up and talk to Koza and talk Koza down, Crocodile still exists.
Right, and is
And
still revered by the people.
yeah, and that's the problem is that he's like this godly hero that's sucking the country literally dry.
Damn, that's
And then
bars.
the volume ends and it tells you to buy Toriko.
Do it. Toriko's really good up until it's really bad.
Oh no.
But like it's really good while it's good.
Shit.
And
Toriko.
then we get the Star Wars Battlefront.
Yes.
Yes. Good joke.
So we are now
Wait,
going to.
this is a funny cover picture because Django was just about to be tried for being a pirate, and then he just gets everyone to dance in the courtroom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've kind of been loving the Django background art.
The Django art's really fun.
Because it's basically him and
Iron Fist.
body.
Yeah.
It's really fun how like dancing kind of brings them together.
Yeah.
It's just delightful.
Still going places.
Yeah. So after resolving their kind of argument over priorities and friendship, they are like, okay, you know what? We're going straight to Crocodile. We're going to Rain Base, and we're just gonna take him out.
Fuck them.
And we kind of start off this chapter with them kind of mapping out their route, and then Toto shows up with the water he was able to acquire from digging the rest of the night. And I really love this panel. Luffy has this restraint with drinking the water that Toto gave them. And the reason this is so important is because back when it was water that they had just bought, Luffy was totally fine with like gulping it down, spitting it out, and kind of
Being an ass.
Yeah, he was like pretty much wasting huge amounts of it. But when a friend slaved away all night to get them that water, it's precious to Luffy, and he will not waste a drop of it.
It's beautiful.
Luffy and his friends just holy shit. So good. So they get the water and they set off back across the desert. And let's see, I'm kind of flipping through. We get our first look of, or not our first look at adult Koza, but we kind of get to see more of him.
Yeah.
And he kind of has decided that the time has come to advance on the capital. And this is kind of us really, this chapter's really lighting the fuse for like the grand battle at the end, because Luffy and the crew are like, okay, let's go get Crocodile. And then the rebels are like, okay, we're going to advance on the capital. And then the king's like, okay, we need to act like right now. And like we have like after this chapter, there's no turning back on any of this.
Yeah, stuff's actually heating up.
So
Yeah.
there's a great panel here. I don't know if you caught it, that goes back to the flashback, but so Koza's talking about, oh, we're gonna go march on the capital, and then it goes back to Koza. In the second panel, he goes, "They hit us, so you want to hit us back. This isn't a skull between children."
Yeah.
Which is a great callback to the fight between Vivi and Koza, and where everyone overreacted to it. And it's kind of like a weird, it's kind of a nice ironic flip on that. This is a, like, Koza still really doesn't want to take harsh action against them. He still understands where they're coming from, and he understands why it's happening. He just doesn't know how to solve it.
Aside from violence.
And he knows, like, if he goes and like destroys the rebels, and he understands, like, they're rebelling because they care about the country and they think they can make it better. So him just like killing them isn't going to solve the problem. I don't know. I just thought it was a nice callback to the flashback.
Yeah. And man,
sure.
like it's so tragic to me because every side of this conflict is doing what they think is like best for their friends and their country.
Mm-hmm.
We even get panels like later on, like in the next volume, even I think, where I think as the final battle is about to start, both Koza and like the captain of the royal guard are like, "This is for our country," and then even like Vivi in the argument in the previous chapter, she has this line where she like yells, insisting that she's trying to save the rebels, and even though we know that's what she has been trying to do, she's trying to save everyone in her country. I think just hearing like a ruler saying that they're trying to save the people rebelling against them is just like, it just made me feel so hard for this country, because everyone really is trying to do what they think is best.
Oda has generally set up a really engaging conflict in this arc.
Yeah, it's insane. We get to meet Pell and Chaka, which these are, it's called Zoan fruits.
Yes.
Okay. Where they can transform into these animals, and holy shit.
Did they say which Zoans they have?
Well, I don't think they say the name, but Pell turns into a falcon.
Well, there you go. You got
Pell the falcon, and I don't think I've seen Chaka transform yet, but he's called Chaka the jackal. So maybe it's a jackal.
Maybe you might be onto something.
See. Karoo shows up. What a hero!
The god.
And the king is like, okay, Crocodile
bad.
He's fucking the kingdom. So they make their plan where they're like, okay, the rebels are going to march on the capital city. There's 0% chance we can stop all of them. So we're just going to go to Rain Base and try to take out Crocodile. Spoiler alert, things aren't going to really work out.
Oh boy, we're getting there.
Yeah. The crew is arriving at Rain Base in the next chapter.
But wait, first of all, Django gets acquitted because of his sweet dance moves.
And Full Body gets demoted. Big plot. Yeah. This is great.
What bros. What a bromance. We advance on Rain Base, which is like the coolest looking city.
What do you think of this climate baton that Usopp built for Nami?
Yeah, I haven't actually gotten to see it a ton in combat yet. I think the general idea is really cool, but I mean, I just need to see it actually
I wonder
used.
if you'll get to see it.
I wonder.
Also, Joe, I want to point out this panel where Sanji says, "Just call me Prince Charming," and that reminds me of some stuff in this arc. Oh boy, Sanji's so cool.
Andre is so fucking cool.
Yeah. Um, then obviously everyone's super thirsty. They immediately try to go get water, which brings them right to Smoker and to Shigi. And they're like, "Fuck, let's get out." And then I thought it was really fun because you had just showed me the One Piece Pirate Warriors game the other day.
Oh yeah, I was playing a Smoker.
Here for the first time, I see Smoker's white vine attack where he spirals up. I was like, "Oh, I saw that in the game."
Shit, dog.
It's really cool.
This is a great joke of them walking to the bar, drinking, and then realizing.
Just spitting on them.
And we get our Scooby-Doo chase scene throughout the
Zoinks.
city. And everyone kind of splits up during this chase. And it makes me really sad when Chopper gets separated. They're like, "We're just going to have to leave him." Because
Fuck
I'm like,
Chopper.
Chopper is like the one most likely to have abandonment issues.
Yep.
And they all are running away. And they're like, "What about Chopper?" And like, he's just going to have to deal. And I was like, "Oh no, I left my boy." So this is really just kind of a lot of fighting the Navy. And man, they really storm right into the casino. And I'm like, holy shit, like we're really doing it. We're really going right up the Crocodile right now.
And Luffy has no tact. He just walks in. What's the plan?
Oh, yeah.
Here we come, Crocodile.
And then we kind of start the next chapter, or the next chapter does start with him running in, being like, "Oh, come on, Crocodile." And they're like, "Hey, come into the VIP room." And of course, it's a sea prism stone prison. And pretty much the second they get in there, Smoker's like, "Oh, okay, we're fucked."
Yep.
Like,
It's cool that Smoker is also in this predicament with them.
yeah, because we remember that, like,
I
he's
just
just
realized.
vulnerable.
I just remember how dumb of a joke that is. Like, oh, they literally just walked into the
Oh
Troy.
yeah. Oh, it's the gaggiest.
Yeah.
This is a super serious political manga, by the way.
and then Luffy's face of his realization of how dumb he is.
Yeah. And I think this is like the second time we've actually heard of a sea prism stone since the last time Smoker was like introduced.
Yeah, it hasn't become relevant since then.
Yeah. And they kind of talk about it a little bit more, how there's like one place they come from, and it can be thought of as solid ocean, which is why it strips Devil Fruit users of their abilities.
Right.
Which was all really interesting.
You'll learn more.
I'm sure. So they're just kind of lamenting the fact that they're stupid and they're in this trap, like, and that they're all going to die. Luffy is obviously trying to provoke Crocodile, and Crocodile just does not give a fuck. He's like, "This is all according to plan." Which, by the way, Crocodile actually is a mastermind.
Good
like,
plans. Good
this
plans.
entire plan for destabilizing the country was kind of genius, and it totally worked.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
They haven't. Okay, never mind. Moving on.
Listen.
Pell's got a fucking gun.
How's a gun?
Yeah, this whole thing is kind of cool. Like a falcon with machine guns, and he can carry Vivi away. It was all really cool. No one's a match for him until,
Oh shit!
Falcon type.
man, Miss All Sunday shows up, and her ability
Is it time?
is so cool.
Yeah.
She.
Oh wait, but
he's-
before that, Django's trying to make Full Body forget about their friendship.
Oh my god, because they realize they can't be friends.
It's so good.
But then in the next chapter, a hot piece of ass is going to walk by, and they're going to forget about it.
What bros?
So, like, this really short fight between Miss All Sunday and Pell is cool because he, like, flies at her, and she makes, like, arms come out of his back that wrap around him and restrain him so he can't flap his wings and he falls.
And
Like,
you're formally introduced to her fruit.
holy shit. It's so cool. The flower fruit, I think it was called.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or Bloom maybe.
Bloom, maybe.
Flower.
Okay. In any case, holy shit.
Yo, she's
This
straight
is-
doing JoJo poses with her clutch attack.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very cool.
That panel of her like revealing all of her arms, I think that's like her like big. That's the pose she does in like every game. I
Yeah,
feel
that's an iconic pose right there.
Yeah, it's like how could you not use that?
It looks so cool.
in her best outfit.
Bold.
Yeah.
So she's pretty much just like, Pell, you're fucked. I have VV. And we kind of cut back to Crocodile's chamber.
Wait, this is really important. This is Luffy's first crew impression.
Yeah, and it's kind of great. They are like in a life or death situation, and he's like, "Hey, what
I'm
went on me?"
Sanji here.
Hey. And Usopp loves it. It's just a lot of fun. Again, they're kind of threatening Crocodile from within the cage, and like he just does not care because he has the right to be one of the most cocky people on the planet. He's probably top 7 cockiest people on the planet, if I had to
That's
estimate.
a very big guess. Is it because there are 7 warlords?
No, it's just a coincidence.
Okay.
They
Decapitate Crocodile.
Yeah, sorry for any pauses. I'm just going through page by page because I want to make sure we don't miss anything. Vivi shows up. She's like, "I'm gonna kill you, Crocodile," and
She does it.
Simon Belmont's his head.
Yeah, and like this was kind of crazy because we hadn't seen this aspect of his fruit yet. All we had seen was him mummify Mr. 2. Or no, not Mr. 2.
Mr. 3.
And so she does this, and obviously we know now it's sand, but I could conceivably believe at this moment that she just turned his head into a pink mist.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, holy
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
I was like, holy shit, she totally just killed this man. And then
Oda does a great job of using the black and white to his advantages sometimes. And other times you're just like, oh, that man with black hair. Yeah, he's blonde.
It's only with hairs and colors.
Yeah. Of course, by the end of the page, we learned that it didn't work, and Crocodile's fine.
So the other day, I was surprised because Smoker got hit in the back as a Logia, and then we learn in this arc that this reflex it just goes to show how trained Crocodile is, to where he can turn his body into his Logia form on a reflex.
Yeah, like it's not even just that his devil fruit is already really good. He's just he's just mastered it at this point. Which I mean, he's not a warlord for no reason.
Oh hey, this hot piece of ass. You want to remember her.
Oh
wait,
yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's also interesting because
yes.
The pacing of this arc has done a lot of things I didn't expect. Whenever we initially learned about the Operation Utopia, where all the members had their different like objectives they were supposed to complete, when we learned about that, the Straw Hats were not here yet. So I was like, oh, they're gonna have to like intercept these people in their plans and stop them. And it's like, no, everyone is totally defeated and in custody before the plan even starts.
I like this line where it says a long day's beginning and the Straw Hats are just in the cage.
Like at this point, I was just like, they're screwed. Like that's it. Like the plan is started and they've already lost.
On to the next island, I guess.
But there were 2 members of the Straw Hats I hadn't accounted for yet. I can't believe I forgot. We cut away back to the royal family, or rather the absence of the royal family. The king is missing. And Chaka's like, well, this sucks.
Hey, Bradley, I think your mic might have disconnected there because you got an echoey voice.
Hold on, you're right. Let me sing a song while I plug it back in.
Go, Joe.
Oh,
sing us a song, you're the piano man.
No, we can't. We get copyright strike. Sing us a song, you're a
rubber man.
Rubber man.
Hey. Okay, how we doing?
Sounding sexy like always, Bradley.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Much better. The king is missing, and we see Koza riding towards a town. Like, okay, why is the king doing this? And we see that king is just kind of like raising hell, uh, which is very uncharacteristic for the kind King Cobra. But we
Indeed.
also, I think we also get like a flashback before that happens
Yeah.
where,
Where I like one line in the flashback. I'll be back for the rain.
Yeah.
yeah, I think this is like Koza before they had left Yuba,
It's
like before
basically
the rebels
Koza
left Yuba.
growing up once Vivi has left and out of his life. It's just an abridged version of it,
Yeah, which
and realizing like, oh, Vivi really was the girl keeping this boy together in terms of
man, I
yeah.
need I need him and Vivi to just get back together again.
Bring the crew back together.
Yeah, and
He's
then
boink.
we see the king just do all this horrible, awful, no good stuff to this town,
He
and we
kicked
see
a small child.
yeah, and yeah, the small child looks suspiciously like a young Koza, almost like Otis
It's,
trying to draw a parallel here.
it's the same child also that asked to join the army earlier.
Yeah, I wonder if he did that on purpose.
He would never. But
Oda's too dumb to do things
there's
like
a
that.
certain smile here that is definitely on purpose, and we
Oh
talked
my
about it
god,
last week.
this like I don't know if I would have initially noticed this if Joe wasn't talking about it last week, where I genuine like this whole time I was genuinely like, what the fuck is King Cobra doing?
Like King Cobra snapped. Like the pressure was too much. He's being too harsh now.
Yeah, like my theory before I saw this particular panel was like maybe he's going to commit, like maybe he's accepted the rebellion's going to win, so like he wants to just try to be awful before he dies so they can like rally around and like his people will feel triumphant and unite again.
But you
But
forgot.
the reality, like, man, the king was Bon Clay. And
Yeah,
we
big
get that
brain
same
play.
smile that Joe pointed out last week. And like the second I saw this smile, I was like, holy shit, because we don't even reveal immediately that it's Bon Clay.
Right.
You just see this smile and you're like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of genius.
And God, Oda is such a good artist because he does the same thing here. It's like that's Cobra's face, but because of the way that the certain aspects of his face are contorted, you just know that's not him.
It's
Yeah.
disturbing. It's like that Luffy.
Yeah.
I love this panel of Miss Doublefinger and Mr. One just walking through the town.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how she just walks with hip sways that are so exaggerated.
Oh yeah.
She's got the swish swish sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
And man, like the the Brokeworks agents are just kind of raising hell through town, and the general idea,
With the cover of like a pirate attack.
yeah, and it's pretty much just going to incite the rebels to be like, you know what, it's time. Like we just have to end this. We just have to march on and take the capital. And man, Bon Clay should have been more careful when he was changing back to his normal self, because young kid who looks like Koza knows that king was not actually the king.
That's good.
And I think they try to kill him, but I think our boy survives.
Oh man.
I want to point something out about 172's cover.
I was about to just say the same thing, Willer.
Too bad, Joe.
No.
Do you see those people on the left?
Yes, it's Helmeppo and Kobe.
And the dog masked man and the bombshell woman is there.
I love that all of our people are together. I love them.
Willer, do you think Dog Mask Man is going to be a playable character?
He already is, Joe.
Is he? God,
Joe, you didn't play enough of that game. Yeah, you need to unlock more characters.
So I forget. Have we only seen the Dog Mask Captain in the context of these?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the one training Helmeppo and Kobe.
Yeah, and he was going to execute
Axe-Hand
Morgan,
Morgan,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I've thought about it, and I think he's one of my more favorite characters of the series now.
He's you. Anyways,
I don't know why you think that, but okay.
he's just you.
So we get like a huge moment of dramatic irony where this kid is trying to calm the rebels down. Like he would totally be able to calm the rebels down if he could actually tell them that the king was an imposter. but because he can't get the words out, Koza is like, this poor kid, we have to march onto the capital. And it is just like so tragic. And I just love how Oda set that up. And Koza got shot, by the way.
By the way,
Yeah.
It's kind of
During the
kind of relevant.
I think that brings us back to the cells.
Don't forget the turtle, though.
I forgot the turtle.
I love that. He's so cool.
I really, yeah.
So I think at this point, most of the Brokework agents have kind of accomplished their part of the plan. We don't have a visual on Mr. Four and Miss Merry Christmas, but I think they had implied earlier that it was their job to kidnap the actual king, which they in fact did.
Yes, has been proven to be true.
Mm-hmm.
So the rebels are about to march onto the capital. Chaka kind of heard what happened, and he's like, well, I guess it's time to take down the rebels. So we are actually gearing up for that
war,
cataclysmic battle, that war that we've
war
been building up to.
Yeah, it's been there since the beginning of this arc, and the Straw Hats have failed time and time again to stop the war from happening.
Yeah, in this chapter, we kind of get these panels I was talking about where both Chaka and Koza have this war cry where they are like yelling that they are doing this to defend Alabasta, but we both know it's just this manufactured tragedy.
Meanwhile, crocodiles in the cages just laughing as all this slaughter is happening.
Yeah, just being a dick.
Being a little dick.
But man, he's so cool when he is being a dick. He kind of explains his master plan, which I'm glad Smoker was here to hear it.
You gotta have the plot conveniences here and there.
Yeah. And he basically gives Vivi a choice. He's like, you know what? You could try and run as fast as you can, get to Alabarna, and maybe stop the rebels, or you can stay here and risk your life against these crocodiles to maybe save your 4 friends.
Oh no,
that are in
the
this
banana gators.
Oh, you're right. Well, they're more bananas than they are gators. So, so he kind of sets her up with this real hard predicament, and I think it's a really good predicament because there's been a lot ever since Vivi was introduced to the party. There's been a lot of moments where she has flashbacks to things people have told her where, like, if you're ever in any doubt, the kingdom should always take precedence over others, like your countrymen. I think there's a flashback even where Igaram tells her, even if you have to betray friends, like, do what you have to do to stay alive and to save the country. And while this isn't necessarily the scenario I would have imagined, it really is a scenario where she has to choose, like, which one do I try to save with the few hours I have? My friends first or the country first?
Yeah.
And
the look on her face when she says "I'll kill you" is good job, Oda.
She is emotion. Really fucking mad for good reason.
God, she's got some great faces this chapter.
Oh yeah. So Crocodile kind of decides to leave her here to decide on what to do. And let's see, Luffy is like, we can't die here because I'm supposed to kick Crocodile's butt. Which I'm like, man, I really wish you would. So crocodiles start coming into the room, and it's clear Vivi is not going to be able to handle them. And at this point, I'm just like, I have no possible idea.
Who will save our heroes?
Who will save us? And then
Oda just introduces a new character out of nowhere called Mr. Prince.
Yeah, this mysterious Mr. Prince, right?
Mysterious.
Yeah. Crocodile gets this call, and he says, "This is Restaurant Le Crabe."
Please
and
don't.
like, as soon as I saw this panel, I was like, "Holy shit! I can't believe I forgot about Sanji." And
I was talking to Willard about this, like, when you started reading One Piece, where it's like, man, Sanji just comes in clutch when he needs to.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like,
Joe mentioned that in the early discussions when we got to Baradier.
In this moment, I thought back to moments like Usopp and Arlong Park, where just like every member of the crew really gets a chance to shine. Like
Absolutely.
everyone's relevant, everyone's useful, everyone is gonna come in clutch.
This
Like,
arc is the Straw Hats shining the arc. Like
oh yeah,
there's so many good moments.
it is so good. But I don't know why we're talking about Sanji because this is Mr. Prince.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
Rude.
Yeah. So, he's like, okay, what the hell's happening? This Mr. Prince guy is calling. And at first it's kind of like, oh, ha ha ha, I have one up to you. I'm Mr. Prince. And then it sounds like Mr. Prince gets totally destroyed. But it was a fluke because in reality, Mr. Prince was like making an agent say that to lure out Crocodile, I think.
Yes, in the 4 Kids version, they didn't want to show Sanji beating up an agent, so they had Chopper do the voice, which made no sense, but okay.
How far did I think you've told me before? How far did One Piece go? Or no, not One Piece. 4 Kids.
4 Kids got to the arc after. Did they? I think they might have stopped.
They finished the filler arc after Alabasta, and they stopped right before the next arc.
But they did some games of the which had characters of the next arc, so you got some of their voices as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible.
Yeah. So there's kind of a little more dialogue between Crocodile and the others, kind of a little more gloating. Before he leaves, he is kind of successfully baited out by Sanji and Chopper's plan. And shortly after, Sanji is able to get into the casino and destroy the bridge so that Baroque agents won't be able to chase in after him.
Yeah.
He proceeds to save the Straw Hats, being the clutch boy that he is.
Yeah, and we are kind of speeding along here, which I think is fine because this is a ton of action, which I feel like in general, we like to talk more about the things that aren't taken at face value, and the action here is just good. In any case.
It is worth noting that Mr. 3 was alive. He lived by coating himself in wax.
Oh, good old Mr. 3.
And Luffy doesn't remember his name, so he just calls him 3, which is fair enough.
Oh, we're not going to talk about Chopper being the little boy that he is, like sneaking past Crocodile.
It is really cool how like they see Big Chopper running, and then they run after him, and then he's just able to shrink down and calmly walk away. Or not so calmly walk away.
Calm, yeah. Calmly's the
quotations.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're able to beat up Mr. 3 and make him unlock the cage with
which is a super good application of his powers because they're wax that harden as much as steel, so of course they can be keys.
Yeah, it's extremely versatile. He's Green Lantern but with wax.
He's cooler than Green Lantern, and he's not even cool.
So
I like when Vivi pulls Usopp. His face is stretching the same way it was in Drum Island.
Oh man!
And Zoro saves Smokey.
Yeah, and I think this is another one of those moments where, like you said, this is why Luffy is the captain, because Zoro straight up admits he's like, it wasn't my decision. I was gonna let you drown. Luffy's the one who saved you.
Right.
Which is just a lot of fun. And Smoker I'm just glad he's an honorable man. He's like, you know what? I still have my job to do. One day I'm going to capture you, but you saved my life today. He's like, go on. And
just this once, I'll let you go. That is such a big character progression for the man who came into the Grand Line because he was mad that he let you escape.
Yeah, this is like a guy who will chase you to the ends of the earth, despite the fact that like his Navy superiors, I think, didn't even want him to do this.
Yeah, he's being a trouble child right now.
Yeah, so despite just the fact that he's as relentless as he is, that he'll restrain himself is great.
Yeah, he says, do you think that I care what the brass thinks?
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit.
I know we just like talked about it, but I love the paneling, the gag timing of like, oh, Mr. 3 opened panel. It's just like 3 like panels of just like basically silence of him just opening the cage.
And then like whenever we finally zoom in after that, you see like you're like, oh, why is he obliging? Why is he opening the cage? And then we zoom in on his face and it's all beat up and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yep. And then he gets kicked halfway across the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so crabs.
Big old crabs.
Yeah, crab. Look at those crabs.
Mother of pearl.
What the
We
fuck is with Usopp's eyes in that panel? Jesus
I know,
Christ.
holy shit.
They're
He looks like an alien.
What
The
the
crab eyes.
fucking heavy weather looking ass.
But yeah, dude, we kind of end off this volume with they're gonna get on the crab and go to Alubarna, and holy shit, Vivi gets grabbed by Crocodile's hook, but then holy shit, Luffy swaps himself with her, and then holy shit, he's gonna have to fight Crocodile.
And it's like he could have easily saved Vivi. He very purposefully gets himself got because he's like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm out of that fucking cage. It's time.
Yeah,
Well, I think also too, it's you can because Luffy does this later, if you remember, in a very recent arc, where like Luffy's just like, I have to fight this person because I'm the only one that could probably stand up to him. And if he keeps chasing us, he's gonna get us.
Yeah, Luffy's smart.
Yeah.
the end of the volume has a fun map of Alabasta that just kind of shows where things happened and where things are about to happen, which I think is
Oda has developed this technique of using maps because he puts players all over a country.
yeah. Considering how sprawling the world and story of One Piece is, I think this is a good call.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What do we have to buy at the end of that volume, Bradley? You didn't say.
We have World Trigger.
Oh no, don't buy that one.
I watched the first episode. I didn't really like it.
Yeah. All right, crab fight time.
Crabs.
Yeah, volume 20. Let's see. Volume 20 of One Piece. Also, Oda says that stiff roundhouse kick is a really cool phrase to say.
He's not wrong. I guess.
He's not wrong. I wish we could spend more time on all the stuff that Oda says between chapters, but that would probably be longer than actually analyzing the story because
He goofs around a lot. It's super worth reading the volume version.
I really love that. It's gotten to the point where some of the questions people ask Oda in the question corner just don't even relate to One Piece. Like,
Their question corner lore.
yeah, some
Basically.
person was like, "Hey, like, how do I like cook this food?" Or like, and then like there was one question someone had about a background character, and it's like, "Please tell me my husband and I can't make babies because we're so because we're up all night wondering about this."
There's so many gags that relate to older gags. Like, there's a guy who consistently gets his art into One Piece called, like, he calls himself 420 Blazer. So it's like 420 Blazer requested Zoro playing with penguins. And he actually gets a lot of the cover arts.
Oh, I love it. It's
great.
so good. Maybe we'll try to touch on some of the fun between chapter stuff more now and then. So we kind of pick off right where the last volume ended, and they are parting ways. The rest of the crew is going to Alabasta on the crab, and holy shit, Luffy is about to fight one of the 7 warlords of the seas. I didn't think this was going to happen until like chapter 600.
Right? We're only in we're reaching 170 here. We're actually 180, and we're already getting one of the 7.
Yeah, and I've kind of said this, like, back when One Piece was first coming out and people didn't know how long the story was going to be, like, this, considering how long the average manga is, this probably felt like it was gearing up to be, like, kind of a finale. Like,
I mean,
it's
basically
such a
the
raising
finale of
stake.
Orchid time.
it's kind of
yeah.
crazy. So yeah, Luffy is just kind of like, let's get right into it. I'm just going to fuck you up. And Crocodile's like, all right.
I'll give you
3
3
minutes.
minutes.
But before they fight, we get a name drop for Miss All Sunday.
Very important.
I've heard the name Nico Robin just in passing from existing in a world where people watch anime. I don't know the significance of the name. I just know that she's a significant. I know that she's probably going to be significant past Alabasta now. Granted, every character in the story is significant, so
You're right. Does that make you remember anything Joe says all the time?
Nico Robin's hot. I mean,
Yeah, that's what Joe says all the fucking time.
he's not
He
wrong.
won't shut up about it.
He's not wrong. She do kind of have a Lois Griffin nose, but
Oh, she's cute.
yeah, no,
The
she's cute.
nose
I
is the
like her.
one thing that makes her different from every freaking One Piece female.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. But yeah, three
Can't-
minute.
So Bradley, they made
Joe's so fucking excited. Jesus Christ.
Bradley, Nico Robin's so hot.
no, but like I just wanted to point out in the 4Kids version of the show, because they're 4Kids, they made her have a Southern Belle accent,
Yeah.
and it drives me up a wall.
Yeah, I could see her having a Southern accent, but maybe not like a Southern Belle accent. Just kind of like a
It's just
I promise you the Southern accent doesn't fit in any sense.
yeah.
She just
trust
wears a
me.
cowboy hat.
Yeah.
So let's see. 3 minutes on the clock. We're
Fight time.
fighting one of the final bosses of One Piece.
Let's go.
And
Mhm.
this is my favorite fight to date in the story.
Oh yeah, like the
Well-
choreography here is really strong, from Crocodile swiping at Luffy's head to him flipping over and nailing him in the face.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You get the
and-
panel of the Gatlings all going through his sand body. Just so much good stuff.
I love the way Oda draws his sand like disappearing. It
Oh,
has
yeah.
this really kind of like dark edge to it. It reminds me a lot of like Yu-Gi-Oh art, where it's like this really rough.
does, especially in this panel where like his hair is turning into sand as he dodges
Yeah.
a punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so it's just it really adds this kind of like I don't know, this very godly shapeshifter kind
Well,
of demon-esque form.
This is also the first time we've seen Oda really use digital effects. Like they're very unnoticeable usual.
Yeah, I noticed that because I was like, there's no way he did all these dots by hand.
Right.
But I don't really care because, like, there are a lot of manga where artists have like kind of swapped drawing styles halfway through. They've swapped between traditional and digital. I've read a few manga where I know that happens, and I can tell when it happens when I'm reading it. And while you can tell the sand was done digitally here, I think it's not jarring. Like I think it fits seamlessly with
It's
the
just-
other art.
It
the
looks
fact that you can tell it's different really sells like how
supernatural.
yeah
It is.
that's the word I was looking for. Crocodile is like the first like Devil Fruit user that really feels supernatural when you fight him.
Yeah.
Because
Smoker's the
you've always
same,
had Luffy, who is freaking crazy looking, right? But
Yeah.
like the way Crocodile masters his fruit, the attacks he does, just his stature, it's just on a different level of any enemy so far.
If he feels very serious compared to like everything else we've seen where it's been very cartoony like. Because even with like Smoker, who's the same type, it's still like white puffy clouds going over everywhere.
And Arlong has his dumb nose.
Yeah. Well, Arlong's not Devil Fruit user, but yeah.
Okay. I love Desert Spada as an attack. I've
Yeah.
always
My favorite thing about this fight is something is done very differently in this fight that we haven't seen in any other fights.
is
In
it
just
Luffy
about-
struggling.
In just about not even specifically that. It's kind of related to that. In pretty much every fight in One Piece, usually when Goofy busts out a Gum Gum move, shut up. Usually when Luffy I was about to say when Luffy pulls out a Gum Gum move. That's not much better.
Well, you said Goofy, which is, anyways.
Anyway, usually when Luffy uses one of his Gum Gum moves, it's kind of like the triumphant moment of like, oh, I'm gonna finish the fight off. Sometimes against like stronger opponents, maybe he'll have to use like a second Gum Gum move. I think against the likes of Arlong in the whole like volume plus long fight, he uses like maybe 3 or 4 big Gum Gum moves. This, every single page, one after the other, it is just Gum Gum move after Gum Gum move, and none of it is working. These are like his finisher moves. This is like a move that destroyed Arlong Park and almost killed Arlong along with it.
Yeah, he's using bazooka and axe, which have finished off enemies before. He's even using utility moves like net,
Yeah.
which is just like he's
Using-
going for it all.
every move, all of his finishers, one after the other, and it just does not accomplish anything. And I think the fact that usually these are the finisher moves, and he only has to use them once or twice per like encounter. I think the fact that they're just used all back to back here sells just how out of his league he is in this fight.
Oh yeah, enemies are getting tougher now. He's gonna have to use more moves.
Oh yeah. Um, so man, Luffy kind of gets to do his all-out offensive in the first half of this fight, and we see how none of it works. And Crocodile's like, oh, okay, well, 3 minutes is almost up, and then he launches his first attack, and I'm like, okay, well, obviously Luffy's not gonna be able to kill Crocodile just by punching him in this moment. At least the amount of focus Crocodile has. But I'm like, okay, is Sand really going to be able to kill Luffy? And then Crocodile launches his first attack, and we see it cut this tiny little grain of sand in half before Luffy dodges. And I'm like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, with the desert spada, it's so fine that I never noticed that it cuts a little grain of sand.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Um, and then he makes this like, this like quicksand crater. And I'm just like, we're not going to beat him right now. Like, it's just not going to happen.
And then the first attack that he lands it just removes one of Luffy's arms from the fight, basically.
Yeah, it's insane. And we kind of Luffy is able to kind of recover that arm using Toto's Yuba water, which is such a good moment because he thinks back to Toto saying like Yuba will not fall to the sands.
That's what Luffy even yells. Yuba won't lose to the sands.
Yeah, and so it's just like a really triumphant moment where I'm like, you know what? Luffy's gonna come back. He's gonna be able to. He's gonna drink this water. Yuba's not gonna fall to the sands. He's gonna be able to just, I don't know, pull something out.
And
And then
boom, he fucking vores Crocodile.
he forced Crocodile, and I'm like, this is it, and it's gonna work out. And then it doesn't, and then it actually gets worse. And Crocodile makes this sandstorm that's gonna go destroy Yuba. And oh my god! And this is the moment I realized that those sandstorms that we saw back in Yuba that were raging whenever Luffy's crew arrived, those could have just as well have been Crocodile sandstorms that he sent over there.
Oh yeah, he's definitely been sending some over in that direction.
Because like it's totally trivial for him. Like he could just walk out of his casino, walk to the edge of town, throw a natural disaster across the nation, and then walk back inside.
And the implication seems to be like it gets naturally stronger as it becomes a proper natural disaster, like you say. That's a good word for it.
It's going to compound on itself, and he can just casually destroy. He can like just casually throw these like town destroying storms across miles, like across this nation. It is kind of cool. Meanwhile, while this is happening, things are also getting worse for the others because they realize they're probably not going to be able to get to Alabasta on time. And then, holy shit, the chapter ends with Luffy impaled on a hook.
Yeah, that was a good run for our boy, huh?
Luffy is impaled on a hook.
I think Crocodile's dialogue here is just an insult to injury as well, where he's just a too big greenhorn. And it's just like Crocodile's whole thing is that he's so much more experienced than Luffy, and he looks down on him so much because he's just this idealistic like scramp, basically.
Yeah, like how many Luffys has Crocodile killed?
Yeah, exactly.
He says, "You're a too big greenhorn in the Grand Line."
Wow, you really did it.
I hope he said it like that in the 4Kids version.
The whole chapter is called 30 Million Man versus the 81 Million Man to just kind of sell you.
Yeah, that has to be their bounties, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I actually, when I read the chapter title, I didn't know what the hell it was talking about until now, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
There you go. Yeah, so Crocodile's bounty was 81 million, but when a Shichibukai gets hired by the government, or a Seven Warlord, you would know them as, when they get hired by the government, their bounty is frozen. So that means at the point that he was hired, he was 81.
Yeah, like I could imagine this man being like in the hundreds of millions at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you'll meet other ones with larger bounties. It just means they were around longer. Not that they're
Yeah.
less or
Or
more.
they were more notorious before they got hired.
Yes.
So then we see the Straw Hats minus Sanji and plus Mr. Prince on their way to Alabasta on the crab.
Why is he still here?
I don't know. But yeah, they're on their way to Alabasta on the crab, and you can kind of tell that Vivi's like, we don't have to worry about Luffy. He promised he's going to meet us in Alabasta, but you can just tell from the look on her face that, like, her eyes and the sweat on her brow, she I don't know if she believes what she's saying.
She's kind of losing it. It's kind of waiting on her.
Yeah. And then we just like escalate the tragedy of the situation even more, where we see Toto. He has this huge pool of water that he's dug up, and it must feel like the most hope he's had in a long time.
Jesus.
And we see the sandstorm rolling in.
God, I forgot about that insult to injury. God damn.
But we don't need to worry because Yuba will not fall to the sand.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Turns out Luffy was not totally gored to death on this hook.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
High HP, don't forget.
Yeah. So Crocodile just kind of throws him into the quicksand. And man, like this is some of the, I feel like, the most graphic stuff I've seen in One Piece. Like, these really look like death throes from Luffy.
Oh, Luffy is in insane pain. We've never seen him this hurt.
He's like blood and foaming at the mouth, and he doesn't, you can't see his pupils. Like, I'm really fucking concerned for Luffy.
And he's about to get quicksand. Like, this is the most drastic. Joe, should I bring up the thing or let it go?
Bradley, do you notice the thing?
No, let's move on.
I don't know. I'd see Luffy fell in the quicksand.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Well, the thing is, Smoker's sick ass bike is back. Let's talk about that.
That is the thing. He's kind of a badass.
And he's got his goggles.
I always forget the fact that he's not smoking one cigar; he's smoking 2 cigars at once.
He definitely has an immunity to smoke's effect on the body.
What do you mean? His mouth is just open all the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I forgot. My bad. It must have been a smudge on the page.
Must have been.
So Smoker is just like, he's like, I just can't do this. He's like, he kind of tells Tashigi, no matter what, she's gonna have to go to Alabasta. But as for what she does there, he's like, just follow your sense of justice. Whatever you decide, I'll take the heat for it. He's like, I'm leaving it to you. And I'm proud of Tashigi because we love her. And
yes, it is known.
So, Bradley, where do
Yeah.
you think Smoker is going? Like, what do you think he's going to go do right now?
Yeah, so I kind of have to speculate on this, right? Because clearly he would be very valuable in the situation in Alabasta right now, because he probably has a good idea of what, or at least a much better idea of what the whole situation is right now. I think he knows that Crocodile is kind of fucking this country over. He gives Tashigi the orders to take the troops to Alabasta, and I think he even says that they should call in like every available Navy fleet to come here. But he says he's going out to sea. He has something he needs to do. And as for what that could be, man, I'm trying to decide because I can't. My immediate thought is like, what could he be going to do that's more important right now than stopping the catastrophe in the capital?
Guess we'll find out.
I guess we'll find out.
Hey, you were asking when we were playing Pirate Warriors what is on the back of Smoker's jacket, and I said justice, and I wasn't sure, but it's confirmed here. Yeah, it's his justice.
Yeah, there you go. Then we kind of look back at the Royal Guard and the rebels, and man, they're getting really close to the battle starting.
Cannons are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see the king with Mr. Four, whom I love, and Merry Christmas, which who I hate.
She's great.
I mean, she's great, but she's a bitch.
Yeah, but she's great.
She's a good bitch. Um,
Oh
and then
boy.
like, man, the ensuing pages after this are
Me.
so good. Like those who lament war, those who fight, those who incite war, just like showing all these different groups and their motivations. Like this is the last calm before the storm.
I was just about to say this is very much King Cobra setting us into the climax
Yeah, like
with all the sides.
we even show the map with the arrows of the direction everyone is going, and it's all pointing to the same spot for the like everyone's been moving around.
That's really cool.
For the first time, we're all going to the same spot, and that spot has the swords on it. Like this chapter is saying the
It's
final
go
battle
time.
starting.
That's fucking rad. I only noticed now because yeah, as I was flipping through with you, I was noticing. Yeah, they're jumping all around the country. That's really cool.
Man, it is crazy.
But wait,
But wait, Tashigi gets confirmed in the question corner as being 21.
but wait.
But wait, then we move on to chapter 180.
Okay, Luffy came back. He was a zombie.
Well, yeah, he's not dead, but how could he be?
But well, we get more of that in 180.
Yeah. Um, in Luffy's like quote unquote dying moments, of all the things that Crocodile said to him, the sentence that comes to Luffy's mind is Crocodile saying, "I outclass you as a pirate."
And Yuba will die.
Boom. Well, yeah, that too. But
I think,
which
like,
which did you think about first?
it's a good like motivational thing for Luffy. Like, hey, he doesn't want to be outclassed as a pirate, and B, he promised to save this city. And those are the two things on his mind at the moment.
And that's really cool because I mean, again, Crocodile's big thing has been mocking Luffy for his inexperience and just how naive he is, and he's also stepping on his promise. So this is got to be real personal for our boy.
And then Luffy gets groped by Miss All Sunday.
Joe is
aka
jealous.
Nico Robin. She saves him from the quicksand, and we get questions from her.
Right.
Why do you fight as one of those whose name is D? Which I'm just not going to speculate because I think it's cool, but I obviously just don't have enough information to know what the whole D thing is about.
I'll take a guess. I'm sure some people.
There's no, I don't have clues to go on.
All
Like I
right,
don't
all
know
right.
what the D thing is. When I get more information, I would be glad to try to venture a guess here. But I think Luffy isn't really in a state to answer her, so she's like, oh, okay, whatever. It's not even worth asking right now.
Basically.
Pell shows back up and he's like, I know your ability now, so I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yo.
But things don't really go that way.
No.
She's basically just like, I'm not really worried. She's gonna take off on the Acceligator, which I didn't actually read the creature's name the first time. And that's an awesome name.
It's the second fastest animal in Alabasta.
Yeah.
What's the first?
The first is Karoo, or is it the crab?
It's
Like the Karoo species might be the
Karoo, right?
It's Karoo's duck species. I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. Spot-billed ducks. Don't
Yeah.
sleep on our boy.
I love
Um,
duck boys.
Also, holy shit, Igram's alive.
Holy shit! No one dies in One Piece.
No one dies in One Piece ever.
See, I make that joke with Worm, but that's
No,
very
that's-
real in One Piece.
So I like One Piece's thing that these people keep coming back because I love the characters.
However, Flashback people get fucked. Ugh.
Yeah, you're right.
Bradley, what are your thoughts about her of Miss All Sunday saving Luffy?
It's kind of strange. Well, actually, I don't know if strange is the right word. I think it's clear from like, I don't even know if I'd be able to cite why I felt this way, but in a lot of her interactions with Crocodile, I got the vibe that she wasn't necessarily as into the whole plan as he was. Obviously, she's going along with it.
That's such a funny way to word that. Just
Yeah.
not as into it, you know.
Like I don't know if I'd be able to point to a piece of dialogue
I
that made me think that way, but maybe it's just like the way she looks.
I don't think
So
this is worth speculating on because again,
yeah.
she clearly has a motivation there. She mentions the will of D, and clearly we don't have enough yet to really
Yeah.
know. But we know it's she's gotta be something related to that. She's asking these questions.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
I
just
think she
want
has
to know what
more going on
Bradley's
than
thinking.
here. Or like
Ducks.
yeah. Yeah, the holy shit, Egrim's alive. We're about to have Cataclysm War. Um there's kind of a quick crisis where they're like, "Oh no, the crab's not going to be able to go over the river." But then they're like, "Wait, look at Nami's boobs." And the crab's like, "I can do this." And then he can't do this. and then and then they're going to get eaten by fish, and then the Kung Fu Jugons come back, and they're my
Yeah.
favorite characters. I just remember like when we talked about them, I was like, this is One Piece, so obviously they're going to come back, but I didn't know how. And
Chekhov's Jugongs.
I'm very glad about it. And
Mhm.
then Karoo comes in with his squadron, which, like, of course, there's a squadron of these guys.
Why, of course.
Like, it's One Piece. There has
Yeah,
to be, right?
that's
all you
actually
need.
the answer.
It's a squadron of everything.
Yep.
There's more varieties in their ducks than the females in One Piece.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Oda actually
Um,
tried on these ducks.
Yeah.
I will say Miss Doublefinger looks distinctly different from your average Nami,
It's true.
yeah, she does.
mostly because of her hair and lipstick.
Man, I have to say, I really like the way Oda presents Miss Merry Christmas interrupting Mr. Four, because, like, it would be really easy to have him have like a totally separate, like, it would be easy to have like a speech bubble where he says like the first few letters and then there's like a hyphen, and then she has like a non-overlapping speech bubble where she like interrupts him, but like her actual speech bubble is covering up his. And I think that's just like a really good way to show that.
Yeah.
That's been happening this entire time, and
Yeah.
I love it.
It's really good.
Mhm.
Fun fact, 30% of Shonen Jump's readership was girls at the time this volume came out.
That's pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah.
Hey.
That's your trivia from the question corner.
Thank you, Bradley. Very cool.
Um,
Big plays happen in next chapter if you got to it.
yeah. Now comes the time when I tell you guys I did not finish the rest of the 950 plus chapters of One Piece this week.
Disappointment.
This is where we cut off this week. I kind of decided to end here because I feel like starting within the next chapter or two, there are going to be no breaks until the Alabasta arc is done.
You're going to want to finish Alabasta next time you read. Trust me.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, this is probably like the last breathing room the characters get before the arc ends. I speculate. So
You're immediately right. Like, you're going to love next chapter.
So we did, man. We got a lot out of One Piece this
Oh,
week.
I'll say that's our longest segment since, like, we covered every single MCU film.
Yeah. So holy shit. One Piece is good. Everyone go read it.
Yeah, I guess it's okay if we can talk about it for an hour and 20.
Yeah. If you were listening to this for some reason and haven't experienced One Piece, then I'd go
Please.
read
There's also going to be big gaps of this podcast as One Piece gets better and better that you just won't be able to listen to. So why don't you just jump on the train? That was your Don't Give It Up Bradley for the night.